Hello and welcome. I'm your host Lothran, and this is another episode of the Stalktober special of From the Heart of the Jakuls. This story, well, let's just say it has to be told. It was provided as a gift unto all, and by this particular being, there's no option not to express this offering. So go fetch that snack you've been hungering for, settle down into the best spot you can capture, and get perfectly comfortable to listen as best as you can to Depths of the Mind. Oren halted in his tracks, the rumbling quaking of the small room shifting him about. He couldn't believe his eyes. He'd fallen from a height, a great and terrible length to descend, but he'd landed softly, and it made him all the more afraid. The starting room, he'd escaped, again, and yet here, trembling as his hand shook harder than his legs a moment ago. And here again, trembling as his hand shook harder than his legs a moment ago. Here again. Disturbed, frantic images of green fields and happy faces fluttered over his vision. Ah! He felt a sudden sharp digging pinch at the base of his neck that turned into a needle spike going straight to the bone. "You're still here," the voice reverberating like it was the very walls talking. "Remember our deal." The door slid from his sight, melting as it fell into a pile of glop running across the floor to coalesce and fade to the same flat gray texture as everything else in this forsaken place. Oren danced out of the clinging, sticky fluid of the door, shaking and flicking it off in a panic of flailing feet, the splattered form, neat, smiling faces wherever they struck, only for each of them to bleed and fade into the wall where they hung, leaving only faded stains in the wake of their passing. "What is this?" Oren twisted and spun, watching the walls drift up to him, only to turn on the last one and find a solid white door with a silver handle already in place. He spun back to the same white table where a wall had just been behind him, and a simple white chair rose up from the floor. "Enough of your games!" "Oh, sweet little Oren, this is what you asked for, isn't it?" The table grew a mouth on its flat surface, a deep, dark, massive thing facing up to the ceiling, but did not in any way pierce the table or extend beneath when Oren ducked to check if he was losing his mind. "Oh no, little Oren, your mind is quite well lost. Sweet little Oren, delicious, fabulous treat of a morsel." A massive prehensile tongue snaked out of the painted surface, seeking and searching as it wriggled its way toward his position. He retreated, making panic, terrified shrieks whenever the appendage came close to touching him. In its wake, wherever it tapped upon the wall or floor, the surface hissed, bubbled, and frothed, becoming molten liquid, and one less safe place for him to stand. Backed into a corner, the tongue danced all around him, pouring near a river's worth of acidic mucus over every last portion of the room. Oren leaned against his tiny nook as the walls and floor fell away, the table and the mouth upon it falling off down into the abyss. Oren clamped his eyes shut as he slid out of his safety, tumbling and rolling and hoping never to find a bottom to his descent. Let it end! He found his hands on semi-solid ground all of a sudden. He opened his eyes, looking down at streaked, worn, cloth-like suede leather beneath him. It gave at his persistent pressure, but resisted his movements enough that he could find balance and stand upon its shifting surface with his own feet. Rhythmic gusts of air blew across his entire form. Not too forceful, but none too kind either. He found his balance, having to fight to maintain just the act of standing in place. Orin kept himself as steady as he could. When will this end? He thought to himself. When will this end? This madness must end. Till they are safe. The voice called out, larger, enormous and towering, coming from one of the directions the wind came from, sending great harrowing gusts with each syllable right to where Orin stood. That was our deal, wasn't it? How long will it take until you make them safe, monster? How long till you live up to your end of the bargain? Orin asked, knowing that even making the deal had damned him more than any other being in history. Well, your wife won't live too much longer. You promised you would protect them. I never should have trusted you. You shouldn't have. I wouldn't have in your place. But then, I wouldn't understand the real joke, and that wouldn't do. No, no, no. The joke is all I live for. Stop lying, monster! Stop accusing, Speck, the voice replied softly. The platform Orin stood upon shifted, drifting up towards the source of the wind. I am protecting them, but your wife was dying. She lives now, but 40 more years is a blink to me, and then she'll pass. No time at all. Orin heaved a sigh of relief, falling upon his hands and knees, feeling more of the breeze pushing at his clothes so that the wearing thread clung to their owner all the more. He misunderstood this horrible monstrosity again. Misunderstood, yes, but I doubt as I peer into your thoughts, I'm really all that much of a monster. I mean, I did agree to help you after all that time you spent trying to destroy me. Does that sound like something a monster would do? I should say not. Unless, well, I don't want to spoil the surprise. The end, or shall we say, punchline of the joke. The rising motion halted. The darkness all around him thickened. Then 3 pillars of stark white stone rose up and began to fold back down upon the platform, all around where Orin just barely held his grip on the surface and on his reality. He examined them each in turn, watching a 4th one come up from a different side at an odd angle, and then a 5th column from the other side at the same odd jolt. When they folded upon themselves with 4 distinct joints, the platform began to shift and heave. Something felt extremely wrong and ominous in the pit of Orin's stomach. He watched the pillars carefully until he saw it. Each of them at their tip now had piercing through soft material he kneeled upon, drew dark, deep, oozing fluid from their stabbing wounds. That's what they were. Orin froze, finally seeing the nails on the ends of the fingers all about him, each one much larger than he was. He froze. Completely. Body, lung, mind, spirit, all of it stuck. From any sort of motion. No, he thought to himself. Yes! The wind replied to its speck of a prisoner. Yes, so very much yes. Now you see. Turn to me. Your boy will live, carried to full term by your wife. A nice, long, extended, arduous life. And you and I will play. Turn to me, Orin, father of Arlo. Turn to me. We will have ever so much fun together, you and I. Owen raised his head, placing one hand on the pillar 3 times thicker than his own torso. He felt the beating pulse within it, tilting his head towards the wind, lifting it up to see what he'd been missing. An oval sphere hovering in the dark, the size of a mountain. In its center, a single neat cut split the stone in twain, and from that a rift. And in tendrils and fangs they poured ever out and forth, so slowly. Behind them, as the abyssal chasm widened, an impossible object, a black orb as big as a moon, too large to sit behind the mountain, glowing but dark, a single golden triangle dominating its surface, shrinking and shifting with its point facing down, focused right upon the spot where Orin stood. And so it is, our time together has once more come to an end. I hope you enjoyed it. I know I have. As always, I've been your pleasantly pleased host, Lothran, and this was Depths of the Mind, another tale right from the heart of the Jakuls. I leave you in the skilled hands of young Korvoth. Go ahead, little worm.
Hello and good night to each and all. Please leave your comments, questions, and kindnesses down below. Remember to like and share and subscribe to help us learn, spread, and grow. And don't forget, we implore that each and every one of you do your utmost to stay safe out there. Good night and goodbye, everybody.